Guys. Oh, I didn't know that was going to show up like that. That's no way to introduce yourself. Guys. This is the Psycho from Asylum. I think it's a very, very easygoing Connecticut. A great way to start the day. President Trump and NATO, they've called him daddy. It's very, very distressing. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. The radio show is about to begin. Let's go.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes do strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the House Senate.
Sometimes Daddy has to use strong language, says Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO. In that conversation, I can only ask the following question in that conversation there. Who is Daddy? Don't get me wrong. It's creepy. Anytime you refer to a grown man as Daddy, and I guess it's not in the bedroom, it's creepy. That said, it happened. Like two kids on the schoolyard, you got to let them fight it out for a few minutes, and then you got to step in and make it stop. That is a mostly preposterous way to think of Israel and Iran. Then again, I'm one of the few people who, when President Trump was saying they don't know what the blank they're talking about, or they don't know what the blank they're doing, he said that yesterday. Be perfectly clear. Israel and Iran know exactly what they're doing. Iran wants to destroy the Zionists, kill all Jews, and destroy Israel, and then destroy the United States. And Israel would like to not start, but keep building biomedical devices that keep people alive. There's a difference between these two nations, and they are willing in Israel to defend themselves no matter what, no matter who's with them. Yeah, they both know what they're doing. Tony Katz Today. What are you doing? 833-468-8669, 833 got Tony. That's how you get to be a part of the program. But the big story here is Trump in the Netherlands. Trump and these NATO nations, where, man, it has been one thing after another, all Trump all the time, all like full on control of the whole story. And he's there with Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and also the National Security Advisor. And I think he's also the archivist of the United States. And he also runs the local Pizza Hut. Marco Rubio has a tremendous amount of gigs. And Pete Hegseth is there. He's just the Secretary of Defense. Just. And there's lots of talk, of course, regarding what happened in Iran.
A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy Commission of Israel. And I just wanted, this is an official letter, and they're very serious people, as you know. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordo destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come. This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material, which it won't. It's so sad that whole thing had to go. But I just want to thank our pilots. You know, they were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, and nobody's watching them. So
no, things do not change now, do they? But what's with the latest hit on CNN? CNN made a unique allegation. They said that the hit from the United States on these facilities didn't work. That's what CNN said. CNN said that what it is that we saw wasn't successful. This was Dasha Burns, who's now with Politico, formerly with NBC, I believe, asking the question of the Secretary of State.
I want to start with some of the reports overnight. CNN and the New York Times are reporting that early intel suggests Iranian nuclear facilities were not completely destroyed, and the Times is reporting that the nuclear program was only set back a matter of months. Now, look, I know it's obviously quite early. The president is vehemently denying the veracity of these reports. But can you give us, now that we've had a little bit of distance, the latest battle damage assessment?
Well, I can't talk to you about it.
We'll get to the battle damage assessment in a second. Where in the world do these reports come from? All of a sudden, there's a report that says, oh, yeah, it didn't work. Total failure. I have Stephen Colbert mocking the president. Oh, I guess you weren't able to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities. What? We now mock the soldiers, the airmen, everybody who engaged this absolutely incredible operation because of some report that says it didn't work. Where does the report come from? The report comes from a leak. Now, it is amazing that the actual attack was able to take place without any leaks. It's incredible. It's amazing stuff. But now that the attack is done, now the leakers feel like, oh, they can say something. They put out a preliminary report. A preliminary report is not a final report. This is what we have right now. And now we compare it to other things. And now we see, okay, we fill in the gaps here. We know about this now. We got this information here. We're able to update it. That's what happens. No, they took the preliminary report and they put it out into the world. Here you go, CNN. And CNN, of course, ran with it. And Donald Trump was, of course, unpleased.
This was an unbelievable hit by genius pilots and genius people in the military, and they're not being given credit for it because we have scum that's in this group, and not all of you are. You have some great reporters, but you have scum. CNN is scum. MSDNC is scum. The New York Times is scum. They're bad people. They're sick. And what they've done is they're trying to make this unbelievable victory into something less. Now, even they admit that it was hit very hard, okay? But it wasn't hit hard. It was hit brutally, and it knocked it out. The original word that I use, I guess it got us in trouble because it's a strong word. It was obliteration.
Now, I can't tell you if it was obliteration. I can't tell you if that's 100% accurate because I don't have the assessment. I wasn't there. But a preliminary report to which CNN even admits it's a preliminary report. The back and forth between Caitlin Collins and Senator Markwayne Mullin of Oklahoma. I mean, it is something to behold.
Well, and we have made clear it's a preliminary report, but this is the only intelligence report that so far has.
Well, then why would you run with it? Because you're assuming. But you're assuming this report is the report, and it is absolutely not even close report. Do you know how many intelligence agencies briefings I have set in?
Senator, and you said on armed services, and you just said you do not trust the Defense Intelligence Agency's report.
No, what
I said that you're going to bring up with the Pentagon?
No, what I said is I don't trust this report because I have said in briefings now for 12 years. I was on the Intel Committee in the House. Not one time did we have DIA ever come in and brief us. That was not where our briefings are coming from. In fact, go back and see all the intelligence briefings we've had that's been public and been in private that's been released. Have you ever seen DIA one time ever brief Congress? Ever. One time ever brief Congress? No, they have not.
Have you seen intelligence, though, that contradicts what the DIA is saying so far?
Well, I've seen reporting, not reporting from you, but I've seen reports come out.
That part doesn't matter. It doesn't make the DIA reporting accurate, does it? What an absolute... This is CNN. President Trump's right. That's scummy. Well, you haven't seen anything to contradict it. It doesn't make that a reporting accurate. If someone says the earth is flat, do I need reporting to contradict that? Or if I don't have the reporting, is that somehow true? That's what CNN is offering up there. That's what Caitlin Collins is offering up there. But Markwayne Mullins, Senator Mullins' point is the right one. This report was preliminary. Why would you run with it? You run with it because to hurt Trump is more important than anything else. And as always, it was Marco Rubio explaining the situation.
No, first of all this stuff about the intelligence, this is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. They read it, and then they go out and characterize it the way they want it characterized, and they're leakers. This is the game they play. So that's number one. Number two, here's a fact. The conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility. We can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map. You can't even find where it used to be because the whole thing is just blackened out. It's gone.
It's wiped out.
It's wiped out. Then we dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. And I refer you to the statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi. You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. 2 very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they are. They go out and they read this stuff, and then they tell you what it says against the law, but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false.
Never forget how good Marco Rubio really is. They put out a report that is preliminary to create a characterization, and the so-called news media, not interested in journalism for a second, doesn't question that narrative in the slightest. Oh, we've heard this before. It's all just a little bit of history repeating. It's exactly what it is. We have heard this more than once. This is what they do. This is who they are. Do I trust what CNN has to say? Absolutely not. Not a chance. It doesn't change the fact that if I was given the midnight to 2 a.m. show, I would totally take it. And I would make that show great again. Jim Acosta was too good for it. I'm ready. Take the money. Build an audience. Actually try and help some people learn something. But going back to the NATO summit, all of this is getting in front of, did Trump refer to Caitlin Collins as fake news? Did he really do that?
Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Thank you, sir.
You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do.
Sure. The guy is unbelievable. He truly is. You know what's lost in all of this that took place at the NATO summit is that Trump got them to agree to 5% GDP. They are now going to pledge 5% of GDP for NATO spending, security spending. I'm sorry, that's huge. If we go back to the first term, these were the nations that weren't even giving the 2%. They weren't paying it. The U.S. was paying everything. Now we're at 5%. That conversation should not be left out for 2 purposes, for 2 reasons. Number one, look what he just got them to commit to. Look at the upping of the ante, the taking serious one's own defense. The no longer does the United States pay for it all. Of course, if we're talking about in percentages, it's the same. If we're talking about in dollars, well, we pay much more because 5% of our GDP is far greater than 5% of, let's say, Canada's GDP, to the extent that Canada has a GDP. But really, number 2 in this is, and you're going to hear me get into this a bunch of times. I haven't I haven't figured out the wording to the philosophy yet. And you'll forgive me, I do work these things out on air from time to time. And you'll hear me say it again. Trump seems different. And the only way I can describe it is that, in my view, Trump has gotten comfortable. No, not soft, comfortable on the world stage. Oh, Tony, you never worried about these world leaders? No. I'm not saying he did. I think he understands the game. He understands how it's played. He understands how to maneuver. He understands how to work. He has the right team with him, his people with him, and he was able to articulate his vision, which maybe he couldn't actually do in the first term. And it is very possible that we will mark in history that whatever happened with the 2020 election was the best thing that ever happened to Donald Trump. All of the hardship aside, it allowed him to focus, to work, to hone, to get there. We may all be better off for it. Something different about the guy. And I haven't put it into perfect words yet. Right? That quick sentence that makes you understand where I'm about to go. I don't have it yet, but I will. He got them to give 5%. So that's first. And what does it also mean? It means that everybody understands that the threat is real. The Russian threat is real. They are an expansionist power. And again, for the people saying this was all about Ukraine and never about Russia, it didn't work out that way. Reality is what it is. And reality is that these nations have to be able to help themselves and not just rely on us. There's a lot here that took place outside of Trump's talk about the leakers and the liars and the frauds. A stronger NATO is better. We'll have more on this. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Hey guys, welcome back. So let me see if I can share this. Hold on a second. It's supposedly like a big emotional moment. Let me see. Let's listen.
I'm from Ukraine.
Oh,
So my
wow.
question to you is whether or not the US is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you very, it's amazing.
and me with the kids. I'm in Warsaw actually because he wanted me to
Is
be.
your husband a soldier? No?
He's
He's there now?
yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
Good Lord. I got to, we're going to have to share all of that. Let me get it together a little more clearly. I'll bring that up in a bit. Also, Jerome Powell was speaking, chairman of the Federal Reserve. I want to see what happened there with rates and see where we're going. I may bring in Dr. Matt Will on this just to see what it is that Jerome Powell testified on. You see if I can get him here. I'm right. We're producing on the fly. That's what we do. Get it done. Get it done quick. That's very interesting. I want to see how the rest of that goes. I'm telling you, I am also convinced that Russia miscalculated when it comes to Ukraine. And if you think that Trump is anti-Ukraine, I don't think you understand what's going on. I don't see that as the case. Russia has proven themselves to be the aggressor and to be the force interested in expansion. I will get to that coming up. It's a recall on cars that could trap you. The Ford Mach-E, the Mustang, the electric Mustang. Someone had I don't know, it was in the chat room on the live stream or somewhere else. Someone had mentioned this to me, but I hadn't found it until recently. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. The Ford recalling, I should say, 197,000 Mustang Mach-E's. 2021 to 2025. The issue affects door latches inside the cars, the electric vehicles. If the car's battery gets too low, the electronic door latches could remain locked once a driver or front passenger exits the car and shuts the door. Oh yeah, that's nothing. That's just locked inside. No big deal whatsoever. That happens to everybody. That's just one of those things. How in the world, if the battery gets too low? Oh, you're talking about the battery that powers the vehicle. So letters went out June 23rd. A second round of letters is going to go out once the software upgrade is available. I assume that it means that you keep your car charged if you have an EV. And the Expedition and Navigator, 274,000 of those got recalled due to a brake issue that increased the risk of a crash. I keep asking this question. Have there been more recalls over the last 10 years, or are we just more aware of them? That's the question. I think there have been more, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. But that's a doozy on the Mach-E. Get that checked. Keep your car charged. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. I know you may not have an electric vehicle, but how do you not protect people who do? You don't want that for anybody. Not in the slightest. That's crazy, crazy, crazy story right there. All right. We're waiting on Dr. Matt Will. We will get with him. Now, Debbie, I appreciate the note. I was talking about Trump and how, in my view, he's different. And Debbie responded that Trump saw his life pass before him. He knows God has given him a purpose. He doesn't feel that he has anything to lose. He's on borrowed time. I'm not going to tell you to believe or not believe what you believe or don't believe. Please don't get me wrong. What if I told you I don't think that's it? And not what if. I don't think that's it. I'm sorry that I don't have my finger on the word, on the phrase that will explain where I'm at with what I see. What I'm telling you is that this isn't something that has been building. This was a turn on a dime, and it is 1,000% the strike on Iran. And I'm not going to tell I won't argue that what you're engaged, the conversation you're engaged in, Debbie, isn't maybe a part of it. Maybe it was just this slow burn that now got to this moment where everything clicked. But it's about a comfort. I see in the man a comfort level with who he is, with his team, with a strategy. Even the things that haven't worked great, like tariffs, which haven't worked great, to getting deals that make the world say, my gosh, this is amazing. It hasn't. But the economy didn't fall apart. The markets are still going up. Oil prices are down from before Israel's preemptive strike on Iran. A lot of places where he can discuss the very concept of winning, if only by not losing. I don't know if it is that he was shot at, or if he recognizes that he only has 3.5 years left. It's not going to be another term. Let's all stop being crazy. And he better do something with this right now. I don't know. I don't have it yet, but I know that I'm around it, and I will get there. Dr. Matt Will, I'm going to bring you on right now just so people can see your shining face. Look at him. Dr. Matt Will, economist, University of Indianapolis. Yeah, you might want to get some powder for that. You might want to see a guy about that, right?
I think I got something right here. So
don't, my God. That is just uncomfortable right there. Is that an official Coral U Indy shirt? Is that a coral color?
It is. It's Pantone 301. Can't you tell?
Funny. Could not. All right. So we're coming back to the radio show in about 20 seconds, and we'll get into Jerome Powell's testimony, where the market is, and what we think, and this conversation about everything going on, and the market seemed to be all right. So we will get to that. Stay right there. That's Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. We're back to the radio show. Let's get to it. You would think I was a professional cigar smoker, but I just ashed all over myself, and that's not a euphemism. I just did. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Jerome Powell, he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and he has been testifying regarding rates and a whole series of things, and the rates he is convinced should stay right where they are. President Trump wants a 1% cut. He's got debt that he has to refinance, and he doesn't want tariffs having any effect on the rest of us, and lower interest rates might help with that. But the tariffs are in effect, collecting billions of dollars from Americans, yet maybe it's because of all the Iran talk, maybe it's because of the NATO talk, maybe it's because of other subjects. No one's talking about the economy. No one's discussing interest rates or worried about the growth of it. People, I think, either have forgotten or seem a little bit positive. Oil prices are back down. The markets recovered everything that they got beat up on for when the tariffs were first introduced. So does Jerome Powell have a point, or is he being obstinate as can be? Dr. Matt Will joins us right now, economist at the University of Indianapolis. And I know Jerome Powell testified yesterday and today. What is it that you take from his testimony?
What I take is that what you and I talked about last week is correct. Someone needs to buy stock in our predictions. because he's doing exactly what we said. He's doing nothing. He basically is saying this: the tariff data is coming in slowly. Okay, it's better than forecasted, but still not good. And we won't have a good picture, a solid full picture on tariffs until probably next quarter. So he wants to wait and see if he needs to do anything. Because the dual mandate, remember, full employment and low inflation, that's their mandate. And both of those things seem to be going well. So again, if everything's going well, should we cut rates? Is there a need? What's the reason? Which leads us to what he said. This was probably, I think, if he made any news, Tony, this was the news he made. He said that we may be near the new neutral. So people may not know what that is. The neutral rate is the rate where everything stays still. No reason for quantitative easing, no need for restricting, that the neutral rate is the rate we're going to keep. It gives us flexibility to go down if we need and go up if we need. And he said we may even be there or within a cut or two of being there. That's the big news, because Trump again said 2%. There is no way Jerome Powell's going down 2 points.
So, he said 2%, not 1%. My mistake. Let's talk about this new neutral. I'm not familiar with the term, so I'm going to ask for a little bit more definition and more to the point. What was the neutral before, and what changes the neutral position?
Well, there is no what is the the standard neutral. What it means is that that's the interest rate where the flow of cash equals the flow of stuff, which you and I talk about all the time, and that there is no one leading the other. That we found the sweet spot where the cash going up and the stuff going up is in balance. That when that rate hits, when that occurs, that's the neutral rate. Now, it doesn't, we don't know what it is. I mean, for years it was 0. Okay. In the past, it was as high as 7%. But right now, maybe, we're about a quarter, half a point away from it. So maybe 3%. Maybe that's going to be the neutral rate. I don't know. But he indicated that their data says we are probably just about there.
So what does that mean for us, the people who are borrowing money, the people who are dealing with credit card payments? You're talking about getting an auto loan. How does this affect our lives?
It's the best thing in the world, because once you're at the neutral rate, that means this whole fiasco of inflation occurring and then having to increase rates to control inflation, it's all over. When you're at the neutral rate, you can now take your hands off, put it on autopilot, and let the economy, let companies do their work. Because we don't like looking at Trump about the economy. We don't like looking at Jerome Powell about the economy. We want to look at businesses. Are businesses hiring? Are they growing their profits? Are they increasing their market share? That's what we want to look at. And once we get to neutral, you can pay attention to business and not to Washington. And that's so important if we can get to that point.
Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. It gets a little confusing when you talk about it like that, because the argument is lower interest rates are necessary to spur more investment in, because we still have money on the sidelines because the rates are too much. The cost of borrowing is too great, and we need to reduce that to increase the borrowing, to increase the expenditure of capital, to increase manufacturing, etc. You yourself on this show repeatedly discuss manufacturing being down. It would seem to me that a new neutral, as you're describing it, would be the impediment to manufacturing growth and capital expenditure.
It's not, and I hope this doesn't confuse people more.
It's too late for that. Well, maybe they're smarter than me. Let's assume it'll just confuse me. Let's see how everybody else does.
The rate that you and I pay is not the rate that the Fed sets. That's a confusion. People think we pay whatever the Fed sets. No, banks, that's what the banks pay. What you and I pay is that plus inflation, plus their profit margin, plus risk. So plus inflation, plus profit, plus risk. And so if we have hyperinflation, let's say they cut rates to 0 today. That's what Trump would want. We will have so much cash in the economy. Inflation will go up well beyond what it was during Biden. Maybe let's say 10%. You think if you go to the bank and you take out a loan and the Fed's charging the bank 0%, but inflation's 10%, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay 12 or 13%. The neutral rate is the one where it doesn't make any difference. The Fed is out of the picture. They've set the rate. They've locked it in stone. And now it goes back to businesses making profits, businesses making products. That's what we pay attention
How is my life? How do things get better for me if rates don't go down?
But rates are going to be as low as they're going to get, Tony. The Fed cutting rates doesn't mean your rate will go down. That's a false assumption that most people make. Once the Fed
I understand you on the economics. Now I'm talking about things, if you will, in the political or in the rational. I don't want to pay 7% for a mortgage, damn it. I want to pay 4.6 at the very most. Now what you're telling me is, no, 6.5%, 7%, that's where you're going to be, kitten. That is not going to make people happy.
Okay, first of all, you're not going to pay 6 or 7% because let's say the neutral rate is 3. If the neutral rate is 3 and inflation is 1.5, you're going to pay 5%. That's going to be the interest rate you're going to pay. Now, if the economy grows, then they may cut rates lower. But his prediction is that the neutral rate will be probably around 3%.
So just to make sure I understand what you're saying, that you don't have to have a lowering of rates from the Federal Reserve. Naturally, it will occur.
Yes.
All right, my head's
because it's a function. Again, the rate you and I pay, it's more complex than this formula, but here's the simple formula. People write this down, unless you're driving, then don't. The interest rate you and I pay is the Fed funds rate plus inflation, plus the profit the bank needs to make, plus whatever risk you are. So if you're a super high risk, of course, you're going to pay a higher rate. So the Fed rate is only part of the equation. It's not the full equation. And you and I have talked about, if they cut their rates, they may juice the economy to the point we have inflation. It's like a scale. They're trying to balance the scale. Once they get neutral, so let's look 6-7 months down the road. Once they get neutral, they might be able to drop the rate more and not cause inflation. So they may slowly decrease the neutral rate over time. But for now, he has said in the near term, he thinks there's going to be a neutral rate, and my guess is around 3%.
Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. So it's been a couple of days of him testifying. And you now hear this. You go over this. You see this. You're an economist. You think that this is very, very good news. What is it that we can expect to see in the marketplace that will tell us if Powell's prediction is accurate? Because the market could very clearly say, hey, Jerome, you're a nice guy, but man, you got this wrong, and you got this wrong good.
Well, I'll tell you, today, the market thinks he's right. And here's why. Because as we're speaking, the Dow is down 96, the S&P is up 0.6, and the NASDAQ is up 43. The market is basically neutral on this. They're thinking, oh, okay, we like this. He's probably right. So they're changing their attention away from him back to companies. In fact, when I looked at CNBC and when I looked at the Wall Street Journal websites, it was the first time in weeks I didn't see Jerome Powell and Trump on the headline. In the market section, the headlines were, BP shares, sales of new homes, NVIDIA shares, chip market, Bumble. I don't even know what Bumble is. Jumps.
Oh, you know what Bumble is. Don't try and tell us you don't know what Bumble is, sir. You tell me, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Okay. Talking to Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. You're bringing up my point from earlier as I made this introduction, sir, that I'm not hearing these things. Have we gotten past the idea of the economy being an issue and everybody said, you know what? We're going to hit an upswing. We're going to hit an ascendancy. Because if that's the case, then somehow we have forgotten about credit card debt and that waiting time bomb that's out there, along with we've seen people defaulting on auto loans. These things still exist. So is the market saying, is America saying, you know what? It's blue skies ahead. Or is it saying this is the best we're going to do and we'll deal with those other hiccups when they come? And oh, yes, they'll come.
No. In fact, people talk about soft landing, and I hate that. That's a bogus phrase, soft landing. Let me tell you what soft landing really is. Credit card debt. It means that the credit card defaults slowly start coming down. Auto defaults, they slowly are moderated. That people take on a little bit less debt and a little bit more savings. All we're seeing is that if this is true, if the tariff punishment, which is there, is not as bad as we thought, if it looks like the dual mandate is being met and that we're at a neutral rate, that means the economy will start to grow nice and moderately like we want it to. And then if it does grow sufficiently, then we can cut rates again. So I think that what the market sees here is, okay, it's not going to be, like you described it, these great, fantastic times, but we're on the right trajectory. And if he can get the tax cuts made, I wish he could cut more spending. That's a whole different topic. But let's assume he gets the tax cuts permanent. There's going to be a lot of good outlook. Cautious optimism. That's what I'm going to use the word, cautious optimism.
Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. More is coming up. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. My gosh. First things first. Important to take care of the sponsors. That's why you have to go over to Flederman Von Riest, vonriest.com, and get your watch. Boom. That is, they call it the Munchner. That is the small second. See the little dial inside? That's the second hand. Cooking right there. A series of colors. I went with this because it was kind of black and gold. Very Purdue University right there. The green. If you've never seen the green, it's absolutely gorgeous. Get yours at vonriest.com. RIESTE. Happy to be their brand ambassador. vonriest.com is where you go, and you use promo code KATZ, KATZ. You'll get your discount. An incredible line of watches. They could be your Sunday watch. It could be your everyday watch. You choose what it is you want and get it right there at Von Riest, RIESTE, vonriest.com. Use a promo code KATZ and get your discount. Make that happen right there. You've got questions. I have got answers. And I'm happy to do so. And we'll have more of President Trump from the work he did over there at the Hague in the Netherlands, talking about NATO. And we'll see what else they bring from that conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. Sorry, just answering a question here. Let's put that right there. Boom. Okay. Just that easy, boo-boo. Yeah, sometimes I have to do two things once. I don't know what other guys do when they're streaming other people. Should I share with you Joy Reid audio or okay, I won't. Sorry. I will not do that. Now I'll get into this ridiculous Glock story. Minnesota suing Glock. Yeah, it's a story. I will bring it to you. Let me get to this. There we go. There's a story out of Minnesota about Glock, the firearm. And the story is about something they call an auto sear. Now, I've always discussed the fact that I am a gun guy when it comes to the Second Amendment. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. When it comes to an expertise on firearms, that I am not, although locally here in Indiana, I am thrilled to work with a group called Fostech, which is a manufacturer of firearms here in Indiana, and really unique and crazy lightweight and strong stuff. It's very cool. Fostech. It's super groovy, and that it's made where I live makes me very, very happy. So sometimes when I'm going through a story about firearms, I take a little extra time because you can't get it wrong. If there's one thing I know for sure, the people who are really into firearms, live it and breathe it every day, they can call out somebody who's faking it faster than anyone. It's incredible. So the device we're talking about is something called an auto sear. And this is the idea of something you can affix to a semi-automatic firearm and make it act like an automatic, right? So instead of pulling the trigger each time it goes pew, 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 you pull the trigger once and it goes pew, pew, pew. That's the difference. So there are many, many laws against this. There are, it's a felony. There are state laws in New Mexico, Alabama. It's a felony. In other cases, if you use it in commission of a crime, it can get you a minimum of 30 years in prison. In Minnesota, the Attorney General, the reprehensible Keith Ellison, filed a lawsuit against Glock, G-L-O-C-K, Glock, you know them. They do not manufacture, import, distribute, or make auto sears. This according to shootingnewsweekly.com. What the lawsuit states is that, quote, Glock knows that these things can easily be converted into illegal machine guns, utilizing a so-called Glock switch. So, something Glock does not make, something Glock does not support, something Glock that does not import or distribute or condone, because these things exist and they can be utilized on a Glock, on that semi-automatic handgun. The Attorney General of Minnesota is suing the gun manufacturer. It doesn't take a genius to note quite quickly, oh, this is the end around on the Second Amendment. These are the people who want to sue the gun manufacturers out of existence, so there are no more guns. This is like when cities sued Kia because too many Kias were getting stolen because they made the car too easy to steal. Not dealing with the crime on the street, go after the auto manufacturer for making a product too easy to steal, which is basically like telling Glock and like Kia that their skirt was too short. These people don't stop. I'm Tony Katz. They don't stop. They are really as ugly as you think they are. Horrific people. So here's what we've got. We've got the commercial for the radio show. So we go to the break as well. Stick around. There is a tremendous amount still to get to. And I'm going to share with you this woman asking the question to President Trump at the NATO summit. Man, Trump has, I'm telling you, he's different. Although this he's done many, many times. I will share that with you. Keep it right here. We will get to it all. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter X at Tony Katz, Facebook Tony Katz Radio, and subscribe and like on YouTube. I'd appreciate it if you would. Guys, hang loose. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. And in the comments, yes, I'm going to share this Ukrainian woman who asked the question. It's really something else. I mean, there's never been a moment where Trump doesn't take the question, and this is where he gets to show humanity, and he usually does, and it's what drives the press the most nuts. It really does drive them crazy, and because they don't accept the fact that he's like a normal person. It's very, very, very interesting. So I have got that to get to. Oh, okay. There it is. That's what happened there. So, all right. I thought I was going to talk about a story. I'm going to talk about a different story all together. So we'll be back in a minute, and we will go from there. I appreciate you being here. Sorry, I was just getting ready for the show. This right here, that is Flederman Von Riest. Thrilled to be their brand ambassador. Love what they make. Happy to have it on my wrist, and you want to use promo code CATS and get your discount. That is assembled in America, ladies and gentlemen. That is assembled right here in Indiana. You want to get yours. You want to go to vonriest.com, RIESTE, check out the full line of watches and get the one that fits your personality. vonriest.com, use promo code CATS, KATZ. Von Riest, use promo code CATS, get your discount. We're back to the radio show. Let it begin. Let's get to it. So before the bombing that took place in Iran, 3 nuclear enrichment sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan, CNN was telling us that a nuclear weapon is like years away. This isn't imminent. But right after that attack, as they get this leaked preliminary report that the bombs from the U.S. didn't do anything, now they're talking about the Iranians are only a month away. They're only a month away now from a weapon. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. There is a reason not to trust the media, and it's an important reason. This is CNN in the span of 5 days. If I could play it, it'd be dangerous. I'm going to try it again.
This timeline of Iran being a few weeks away from a nuclear bomb is in direct contradiction to CNN's reporting. According to U.S. intelligence assessments, Iran is 3 years away from being able to produce a nuclear weapon if they wanted to. So the facts on Iran getting a nuclear weapon do not bear out the claim at the heart of what has put the world on the verge of world war. It only set back the Iranian nuclear program by months. We got to call it like it is. It's a big deal.
So
this timeline of a
it was 3 years because CNN said so, and now it's a big deal if they've only been set back months. I can't believe I am the only person who has been able to bring together this statement with the reality that the political left is saying, you have to go finish the job, Mr. President. You need more bombing. Tony Katz today. If I didn't say hello already, it's good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. That's what they're saying. If they want to go about telling us that somehow this did not do the job that the IAEA says that it did, it's the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Association, that has said quite clearly that this has been devastating, that things that were there are no longer there. Well, I don't know why CNN would say this, because they got a preliminary report and they want to do damage to President Trump. But it seems to me what they're saying through Aaron Burnett right there and others is we have to go back to war. We have to go back to hitting them because we haven't hit them enough. 14 MOPs, massive ordnance penetrators. No. 400 MOPs. And let's make sure we drop them in other spots. Make sure we get everything. This is the argument, and I think it's a very, very strange argument that they're making. Now, does any of this fit what can be described as the Trump doctrine? It's an interesting article over at American Greatness. The Trump doctrine, or the businessman's way of war. And as you go through this, and I'll go through it with you because there are like 6 steps, you find that it's nothing that we haven't already spoken about. So this, according to the writer here, which goes by Cynical Publius, or Publius, depending on how you say the thing, these are the 6 steps in Trump's doctrine. Step 1 is identify America's national interest. Step 2 is to bargain with the prospective enemy. Step 3, if or when negotiations fail, conceal and misdirect. Step 4, strike with precision and overwhelming force. Step 5, achieve submission. And step 6, bargain again from a position of complete strength with the defeated enemy. My father, rest his soul, used to, from a very, very young age, and let me say for the record, I grew up differently than you did, and I don't necessarily think that's a great thing. My father, from a young age, explained to me that just because you're angry with somebody doesn't mean you have to tell them. Just because you're upset with somebody doesn't mean you have to tell them. They don't need to know what it is you know until there's a moment they need to know it. It was an interesting conversation from a man like him, who was actually having a conversation of how to control one's emotions. Considering evidence to the contrary in my life. It was not bad advice. That just because someone has offended, upset, hurt, stolen, whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that this moment is the moment to share that feeling, share that thought, share that issue. There might be something else that you might need from that person, that this slight can get you an advantage somewhere down the road. This slight there might still be a good opportunity for you somewhere down the road. You know, it goes along the line that in this world, sometimes you get screwed. It's when the guy screws you over for no benefit to themselves. That's the person you have to concern yourself with, because that person's just crazy. But when a person does you bad, let's say in business, because it was money, that happens. Doesn't make them a good person. That's my take, but it does indeed do happen. So the idea that a negotiation fails, and what's being written here is, hey, don't let anybody know. You don't have to share. You don't have to get upset. Whoa. You tell them everything's fine. You tell them everything's great. You tell them everything's wonderful. You tell them everything's terrific. They're a friend. They're a pal. They're a buddy. They're all the good things. And then you do what you got to do. And then you can renegotiate it at that time. Now, I have never explained it like this in these 6 steps, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was a pretty interesting way to view Trump. And this really gets into a bigger conversation regarding Trump doctrine. And are we seeing the start of, just like I was saying before, regarding President Trump feeling comfortable and seeing him a little bit differently, and I haven't figured out the words yet to describe it in terms of a phraseology, but I will. He just seems on it over these past few days, and just the presentation, the whole thing with Iran and Israel. They don't know what the blank they're doing, and yelling at Netanyahu on Twitter, turn those planes around, and a series of things. I think that this is all part of a larger conversation, and to the idea that I'm not the only person who senses it. That there is there's an actual working philosophy now at play. That maybe, I don't do away with my 2 rules of Trumpism. The first rule of Trumpism is Trump wins. The second rule of Trumpism is that a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism, which is why when I take a look at these 6 steps, I kind of put it in 2. Right? This is a little more spelled out, but my 2 rules of Trumpism still hold. And you could argue that the 2 rules of Trumpism were indeed the Trump doctrine, but maybe there's something, there is something there. Maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's something here worthy of addressing. Speaking of, I'll also get into what's going on with that mayor's race in New York. Nothing to get worked up about, and how the left in Congress is defending gang members. Anything to take down Donald Trump at any time. Those stories are coming up. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. By the way, to answer the questions yesterday, or to go over something from yesterday about short sleeve shirts and being casual on the show. I am too casual. It's driving me nuts. So I need to find a more dressy, casual way to go. And I think I have found it. I think I'm there. I'm going to order a couple and see how they look, see how they appear on camera. I should be like, I used to wear the suit all the time. And I still wear the suit, when I'm in public. But I don't do it on the show really. And when I did the whole thing with the arm, I didn't want to wear that every day and everything else. I still do it for TV. I'll be on Newsmax this evening at 5:20. So you should tune into that. But yes, I don't know if the short sleeve works. I do not know. So I'm gonna grab a couple of things there. We'll see. We will see. Anyway, you don't need to know any more about that nonsense. That's my take. So we're gonna see what happens. What else do you have for me? Oh, a bunch of comments right there. Let me get to that. Yeah, I'm never putting on a tie. That's over in my life. Weddings, funerals. I don't think I wore a tie when I was at the White House interviewing Trump. That was first term. Maybe I was. Seemed like that's like something I would do. But I was in the suit. Anyway, back to the show. I'm really not a tie guy anymore. Those days are over.
Isn't about Tren de Aragua. This is about continuing to equip Trump with tools to execute his anti-immigrant agenda. That's unfortunately what this bill is actually going to do. Tren de Aragua has become a dog whistle to justify every racist, xenophobic action this administration wants to take, particularly against Latino men.
No part of that is true. Not a single thing that Representative Ramirez said right there is true. Tren de Aragua, Representative Delia Ramirez, is a violent gang that terrorized the people of Colorado, and I assume terrorize anybody they can get their hands on, and noticing that they're a gang from Venezuela that needs to be deported does not make one a xenophobe. Stop it. Stop supporting the most unsupportable. Stop defending the most indefensible. Stop being disgusting for 5 minutes. Dear Lord, how hard is it to be normal? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Just be normal. No rational person defends Tren de Aragua. Oh, we're going after Latino men. You mean the Latino men that voted for Donald Trump? Could you just stop? But they don't. They don't care how much they lie. They don't care how much they're engaged in the fraud. It means absolutely nothing to them. They will keep it up, and they will keep it up, and they will keep it up. They have nothing else that they can offer. Now, I said that I would share this moment that took place there at the NATO summit, where this woman is,
I'm from Ukraine.
Asking a question. I don't know this woman. You don't either, and that's okay. She is ostensibly a reporter, but she's from Ukraine, and she still has her husband there who is fighting. President Trump is answering the questions. This is how it went down.
I'm from Ukraine. So my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He is.
He's there now?
Yeah,
Wow, that's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
in Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. You know, they're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay?
For the record, how does Vladimir Putin counter that? When it comes to Vladimir Putin, Trump tells a story as he's on Air Force One that Putin called him to say, hey, can I help with Iran?
You know, I'd like to see a deal with Russia. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you. And I hope we're going to be getting a deal done with Russia.
I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you. You're the impediment. You're the sticking point. You are the thing getting in the way. Kid, you're the gum under my shoe, just messing up my whole walk. I cannot say it enough, but I will try. The people who have been saying that we don't need to be supporting Ukraine, we shouldn't send guns, we shouldn't send weapons, we're only getting the U.S. involved in a war, Russia's not the aggressor here, Russia's not the problem here, Ukraine this, Ukraine that, all of those things are true regarding Ukraine is not a great nation. I don't necessarily trust Zelensky. I think that the stealing of dollars is offensive, and I have never been interested in sending any money that involves any Ukrainian getting some kind of retirement package. I will send bullets and I will send bombs, and they have to do the rest. You will note the level of consistency here. I did not say that it's for the United States to send in troops, repel the Russian invasion, and help help Ukraine set up a government. I don't believe in doing that at all. It's up to Ukraine to set up a government, and it's up to Ukraine to fight and put their people on the line. It has to be them. I said the same thing about the Iranians. It has to be their what? Their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. They have to be the ones who engage regime change, not us. The Israelis, plus the bombing raid from the U.S., made it very, very easy, or at least easier. I didn't say it would be easy. I shouldn't say it would be easy. It'll be outrageously difficult and people are going to die. But it has to be them. It cannot be us. And to that end, just really quickly, if President Trump is saying he doesn't want chaos in the Middle East and doesn't want chaos in Iran, he could say that all he wishes. But if that means he isn't going to be supportive of the Iranian people rising up and be there for them when they do, that's a mistake. The president would be wrong on that subject, and I would tell him directly. One should be very, very enthused about the idea of the Iranian people creating a better life for themselves. That should be a statement piece of this administration, because it is the statement piece of America that we want free peoples and we want free nations. We cannot decide for every nation how they live, but when nations strive for freedom and when the people strive for freedom, we should be their friend. But this was a conversation about Putin and Ukraine. Trump's, we talk about guiding principles and guiding philosophies. And we talk about the fact that he is anti-war. Oh, well, he just bombed Iran. No. He stopped nuclear facilities, nuclear enrichment sites. And I'm sorry, if people want to somehow say there's no difference, that's just ignorance. That's purposeful to a political agenda and ideology. That isn't factual. We should dismiss that. He can't fathom it. And I would argue to the extent that he can't stomach it. I think that this woman asking the question, this gets to him. This hits him in the places that people claim he doesn't even own, right? That don't exist with him. But when he's trying to get Ukraine and Russia to the table, and not only does Russia not come to the table, Russia engages these massive bombing raids of Kyiv. I think that, if we want to argue that Trump takes it personally, I think we might agree on that, right? We might have different levels of that agreement, but we agree on that. But it has shown that Russia is not the good actor here. And all the people who've been screaming, Russia is fine and Ukraine's the issue. And my gosh, Russia has better supermarkets than the U.S. Please. If I could give a good, Scott Jennings side eye to the camera, I would do it. I don't think Trump forgets this. I think this is something that reverberates. This woman's question, and by the way, I don't know if she's a reporter or not. She might have been just well planted by the Ukraine government. But I think Russia is going to have a tougher time working with the U.S. and keeping this going. This is Tony Katz today. Yeah, pressure is the word. Pressure is on. I don't think it's going anywhere. I know I'm going to get yelled at. But I got to go. I got to go from the live stream. It happens sometimes. Although I will admit, I really like the lighting right here. This is good. I got a little bit of shadow, but in the main, all right. And yes, Peter, that is correct. You can't get Taylor pork roll in Russia. Right? But it's like the old Yakov Smirnoff joke. In Russia, Taylor pork roll gets you. Yakov Smirnoff. There's a story. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Don't forget to go to Von Riest. Von Riest and get your timepiece. Go to vonriest.com. Use promo code KATZ. KATZ. Do that immediately, if not sooner. Go to Von Riest. Seriously, get 1 or 5 today. Go to vonriest.com. Use promo code KATZ and get yours. Honestly, commenting about my cheeks, that's weird, especially since I'm sitting down. No, producer Landon, that was perfectly in context. I know what I said. Guys, I appreciate you. This was, first of all, a simple Mac. I think he is okay. I've been saying there's something different about him, and I haven't been able to quite characterize it yet. Is he pissed? I don't know if that's the right emotion. I get what you're saying. I just don't know if that's the right emotion. But we're all having the same conversation now, aren't we? There's something different about the guy. Even more so. I think it's a comfort level. You're saying pissed. I'm gonna figure it out. I will get it. I will bring it back to you. I think I'm back tomorrow. I think we're live streaming tomorrow. So look for it. And I'm glad that you guys are here. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. Go to TonyKatz.com and be a part of what's going on right over there. I would greatly appreciate it if you would do just that. Guys, thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.